So it's goodbye from me. Then on BBC One, we now join the BBC's news teams where you are. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye. Hello, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to South Today. I'm Jo Kent. The top stories this lunchtime. A town transformed, £500 million spent as Bracknell unveils its modern new look. Hurricane relief, a team from the south prepares to help in the Caribbean in the aftermath of Irma. And breaking down the barriers, the inclusive rugby team celebrating its first birthday. A brand new shopping centre, the Lexicon, has opened in Bracknell this morning. It marks a total transformation for the town, once much maligned for its lack of architectural charms, and has come at a cost of almost £500 million. Well, let's get more. Ben Moore is there for us this lunchtime. Ben.
Yes, thanks, Jo. Can you believe that we're in the centre of Bracknell? Take a look at this. Gone are the 1960s faded concrete slabs that the town over the years has become so synonymous with. 1 million square foot of this town has been completely redeveloped. It was launched this morning by 150 school children from the Bracknell area. But this is a town that was built for people. And what do the shoppers here think this morning?
We've waited about 30 years for the new town, and it looks pretty impressive.
I could get lost. I don't know where I am.
Confused about where we are.
When we walked out of the car park, it just hit you.
I literally just gone to Bracknell, America, and I came back and I literally don't even recognise it.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, it's just no different from any other town centre that's new.
So you feel it's lost a bit of character? This is actually the third incarnation of Bracknell. It started life pre-war as a small market town. It was then a 60s new town, and now we have the Lexicon, what you see here today. Let's have a look at the history of one of the best known towns in the Thames Valley. For decades, it's been one of the most maligned towns in the country. But Bracknell is barely recognisable now. After 5 years and £240 million, the concrete 1960s town centre is completely gone. Does it upset you when you see it ridiculed as a sort of featureless place?
I don't let it worry me, I just think the people that say that are just ignorant.
93-year-old former architect Cyril Mitchell designed and helped build the town in the 1950s.
Under the circumstances, we did the best we could.
After the war, there was a shortage of housing and the birth rate soared. Families needed homes, and Bracknell was picked as one of 7 new towns. But not everyone here was enthusiastic.
It's the same with all new towns. People didn't want it. Stevenage had a referendum. 60% of the local residents were against it. It still went ahead. Bracknell was exactly the same. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted their town destroyed.
The Bracknell we know and love took 25 years to complete and lasted half a century. And the ideals this town was built on have endured.
I went preparing to criticise it. You know, I liked it. I like what they're trying to do.
Now all this, the 70 new shops, all the restaurants, a brand new cinema, is said to create 3,500 jobs. Now tonight on South Today we'll be looking at the economic impact of this and whether the £240 million spent here was a wise investment. Back to you, Jo.
We look forward to that. Thanks very much, Ben. A Hampshire man has denied harassing his neighbours over noise made by this week. Tony has the sport tonight, and here's Alexis with what's in store for the weather.
Tomorrow will be wet and windy with a chance of hail and thunder, and the weekend will remain unsettled.
It's taken 30 years, plans have been made and fallen through, but today the people of Bracknell finally got their much-awaited new shopping centre. Work began to demolish the concrete 1960s town centre 4 years ago. But it's been a long time coming after years of delays, changes and setbacks. Tonight we'll assess what this means for the Berkshire town. First, let's join Ben Moore. He's live in Bracknell tonight. And Ben, wow, it's a big day for the town, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, Sally. Take a look at this. What do you think? This is the new Bracknell. Gone are those 60s tower blocks. Gone is that faded, brutalist concrete that for so many decades the town was synonymous with. Hundreds of thousands of square foot of the town centre have been completely demolished and then completely rebuilt. 70 shops, restaurants and a new cinema. The change is certainly drastic.
And we've waited about 30 years for the new town, and it looks pretty impressive.
I could get lost. I don't know where I am.
Confused about where we are.
When we walked out the car park, it just hit you.
I literally just gone to Bracknell, America, and I came back and I literally don't even recognise it.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, it's just no different from any other town centre that's new.
Do you feel it's lost a bit of character? The council says that the Lexicon has created 3,500 jobs, but make no mistake, spending £240 million on a new town centre is an extremely bold move. To assess the impact of that, we can join our business correspondent Alistair Fee, who's at the other end of the town.
Well, thanks, Ben. The town has attracted many big high street names, absolutely essential to success. So we've got Topshop, Burton, River Island, Pandora, Phoenix just in front of me, to name but a few. This has been long awaited, but I can tell you the official opening of the Lexicon today didn't disappoint. Officially opened by the next generation of shoppers, many of whom weren't born when these retail ambitions began.
Yes, I'm well impressed. I think it's very good. Lots of people anyway.
I think it definitely compares to places I've read in.
This was a day of well-choreographed celebration. The waiting finally over.
When a town ceases to satisfy the needs of the people who want to shop there, then they vote with their feet. And that's what had happened with the old Bracknell. But my contention always was that if we give them what they express that they want, close to home, they won't take asking twice.
There have been many challenges, not least the economic climate, throughout this redevelopment. But perhaps the biggest pressure is a cultural shift to get people to come back here and spend both by day and night.
Last time we had a Burger King, and there's no Burger King this time, so not too happy about that.
There are not so many posh shops, as I call it, and I think the Oracle's a bit snobby compared to, this is a bit more, a bit on a par with like High Wycombe, sort of, it's the same sort of style.
And you like that?
Yes.
Bracknell's really needed something like this to give it a heart back. And I lived in Bracknell for years, so it's a real treat.
The new town centre boasts 70 new shops and restaurants. Thousands came, many drawn in by the gimmicks and giveaways. So just tell me what you're queuing up here for today.
A free tote bag.
A free bag?
Yeah, that's it, just a free bag. We like a bargain.
External pressures such as the rising price of goods and the growth of online shopping have all added to the pressure to get this centre right.
Margins are under pressure with Brexit. Cost prices are often as much as 15% up following the depreciation. However, a destination like the Lexicon is a wonderful opportunity because we can offer both the experience element, they can come out to eat with us, come out to drink with us, as well as come out to shop with us.
Whether or not the crowds were spending, the Lexicon today created the buzz long absent in this Berkshire town.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. I've got my bag and it's worth a 10-minute wait. It's brilliant.
But the hard work doesn't end here. Bracknell must build on today's hype and make sure the crowds here today make this their retail destination of tomorrow. Well, as I touched on there, the pressure is now getting people to come here. No problems, as you can see here today, but there's a lot of competition around the region. So this is about changing the way people in Bracknell shop. Up until now, the town centre here has been quiet. There's been certainly no nighttime economy like we've seen in other towns and cities across the south. But retail has some other challenges too. The cost of goods, of course, has been going up in the shops. wages, of course, hasn't been keeping up with that cost of living. So the climate around here is tough, but the hope is that these shops, the restaurants, the cinema, that's all going to be enough to draw people in. That's certainly not what we've seen in other shopping centres up and down the south of England. Bracknell this evening is completely unrecognisable. Let's go back now to our reporter Ben Moore, who's been taking a look at the journey it's taken to get here. Ben.
Yes, thanks very much, Alistair. This is actually the third incarnation of Bracknell. It started as a small market town in Windsor Forest, of all places. Then the new town came in the 60s. It rapidly expanded, and now this. Let's take a look at the history of one of the best-known towns in the Thames Valley. For decades, it's been one of the most maligned towns in the country. But Bracknell is barely recognisable now. After 5 years and £240 million, the concrete 1960s town centre is completely gone. Does it upset you when you see it ridiculed as a sort of featureless place?
I don't let it worry me, I just think the people that say that are just ignorant.
93-year-old former architect Cyril Minchell designed and helped build the town in the 1950s.
Under the circumstances, we did the best we could. We kept the people away from the cars.
So you've enjoyed living here in Bracknell?
Yes, if it's good enough to build, it's good enough to live in.
Minch was asked to turn a small town of 5,000 people into a home for 65,000. Planners followed as best they could what was there already. The High Street, for instance, has never moved, but there were challenges.
So we had this model made and we took it up to Leicester University and put it in the wind tunnels. And there was one corner, that particular area would be uncomfortable.
And did the windy corners get built, or did you manage to smooth out the whole wind pan?
We planted trees.
Our town was going to be a good place to work in and a grand place to live in, with plenty of open spaces. And of course there'd have to be an attractive town centre too, with plenty of room for folks to meet.
After the war, there was a shortage of housing and the birth rate soared. Families needed homes, and Bracknell was picked as one of 7 new towns. But not everyone here was enthusiastic.
It's the same with all new towns. People didn't want it. Stevenage had a referendum. 60% of the local residents were against it. It still went ahead. Bracknell was exactly the same. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted their town destroyed.
The Bracknell we know and love took 25 years to complete and lasted half a century. And the ideals this town was built on have endured.
Now, when preparing to criticise it, you know, I liked it. I like what they're trying to do.
Now I want to introduce you to one real survivor of Bracknell. This is the Bull Pub, as you can see by the name on the side. But if you look just past this rather new exterior, you'll see the old building there. This building dates back to the 15th century. It's been here through hundreds of years of Bracknell's turmoil. It survived the new town being built, and it survived the Lexicon being built. It's still standing after all this time. Let's talk now to Jean-Marc, who is the owner of the pub here, the general manager. How do you feel to finally see this open? Because it was closed completely for 4 years, wasn't it?
It was closed for 4 years, yeah, and it just opened. I think it's fantastic. It's just like it goes so well with the young philosophy of pub, which is just like kind of the all about food and drinks, the traditional on the new, on the Bull is all of that with the extension, which is so modern. But the old pub, which has got all the tradition and everything inside.
It is a very old pub, as we say, 15th century. I mean, it was around in the 1400s. But how have you adapted it to fit in with a brand new town centre?
It feel like we with the art of the Lexicon. It's just like we just right in the middle and everybody looking at us. It's just like it's really really good. And everything has been respected. The old building just like blends so beautifully with the new building. It's just great.
And it's sure to remain, isn't it? What of the future of the Lexicon? You know, I bet you know, when they were opening this town centre in the 60s, they thought it was going to last for a while. We're opening it today. Do you think it's got a real future?
I think that the approach that they've done with the Lexicon is fantastic. Just like the shop, all the retailers outlet on the shops pulled all the strings to get some absolutely amazing fascia on everything. So I think that the future of the Lexicon is brilliant because Bracknell is still going to grow and develop on everything.
Thank you very much. Well, Bracknell tonight is very much a different town than it has been for decades, but the question is now, what of Bracknell's future? Back to you, Sally.
Ben, thank you very much. Look at that, a whole new Bracknell. Let's hope it does good business for years to come.
I think Ben was in the shops today himself.
Yeah, we've got a shop in, haven't we? Yeah, we're down to both of them.
Well,
okay, Tony's here, let's get on with this.
Yeah.
Focus on football then.
10 minutes. That's right, absolutely.